If you'd like to talk about your own Bigfoot encounter, or if you're looking for help from a Bigfoot investigator in your area, email me at bigfootcrossroads@gmail.com. Also, be sure to check out the Facebook page and give it a like at facebook.com/Bigfoot Crossroads. Be sure to check out my other podcast, Planet Fear, where myself and Lauren Smith talk about all the fearful and frightening things out there, from encounters with the paranormal to stories of true crime. Go to planetfearpodcast.com for new episodes and links to all the places you can find us. Welcome to the show, Mr. Tate Hieronymus, not to be confused with the other Hieronymus that you may or may not have heard of. That was one of the first things I think you said to me was, no relation to Bob.
No relation to Bob Hieronymus, yeah. That's the question I'm asked the most.
I imagine so. For those of you who might have been living under a rock for the past 20 years, the most iconic piece of Bigfoot evidence, I call it Bigfoot evidence. Some people may not feel that it's the real deal, but hey, it hasn't been proven not. So the Patterson-Gimlin film, there's a gentleman named Bob Hieronymus who came out after about, 30 years after the film had been released.
Yeah, something like that.
And said that he was involved in it, and he was wearing the suit, and the female creature known as Patty in the film is actually just him in a customized gorilla suit, I believe. And I've seen pictures of him with the supposed, costume stuff, and
it doesn't look anything like the original.
What do you think that guy's deal is, man? I mean, he even went on that show and passed a quote unquote lie detector test, but here recently there was a true crime documentary that came out that kind of had a Bigfoot theme to it, and he was in there and he's still claiming that it's him in the suit.
Yeah, that was the first time I think he's been in anything since that lie detector show or whatever he was on.
Yeah.
I think he's just doing it because he wants money. That's what I think.
Just waiting for that phone call.
Yeah, it's he's like, here's how I felt. He knew Roger and Bob. And I got, even the horses that Roger and Bob were using were Bob Hieronymus's.
Yeah.
And so, I think he took advantage of the fact that thing blew up and he wanted money because he knew Roger and he knew Bob, and he's like, well, yeah, they paid me $1,000 to wear the suit.
He felt like he was owed a cut. I
think so, and I think he got cheated out of it, is what I think happened. And he's like, well, I'm just going to say I wore the suit and go on national television, tell everybody this, tell my story. Which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it does make sense, but it doesn't at the same time. It's weird how I feel about it.
It's just surprising that he's stuck around this long.
I'm surprised he's still sticking with it. Yeah, it's weird.
Very strange. The world of hoaxers. Hoaxers in general are strange.
They are. I mean, I don't get hoaxers. It's funny because I feel like my last name, I feel like people are going to tend to assume I'm a hoaxer if I ever come around with anything. Yeah, that's my Uncle Bob over there. I told you.
Uncle Bobby, we did it. This is all part of the plan.
Yeah. Little does everybody know that I've been on it the whole time.
Yeah.
No, that's actually not true. Don't quote that. Never.
Do not quote me on that.
Do not quote me on that. Not true at all. But no, it is interesting how he stuck around the whole time and still continues to hold strong to his story today, which I got to give him credit for. It's either Bob Hieronymus is lying or Gimlin is lying.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. I've always been interested in that film, and I always found it funny. I was like, it's unique that I have the same last name as one of the guys who claims to wear the suit. So maybe, I don't know if that's why I stuck with it, or maybe I was drawn to it for another reason, but that was the film that got me into the whole subject of this phenomenon, if you will.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
I remember watching it on, like, I think it was Monster Quest or something. Yeah, because I remember watching it on there. I was like, oh my God. It fascinated me to, like, be seeing something like that. And I was like, these things might be real. And I was, like, watching Monster Quest all I could. I, like, rewatch it and watch it over and over again. And
I think Monster Quest is one of the greatest shows that's ever existed.
Oh, it is. Definitely. But, like, it's like, so I'm 27, so it's like my version of In Search of with Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
It's definitely my kind of time era.
Yeah.
Which up on, which was Monster Quest was super fun. And then Finding Bigfoot came out. Then I really started watching that heavily, religiously. So, but it kind of spun me down a rabbit hole. It's like an Alice in Wonderland when they fall down the rabbit hole.
So what were you doing before Bigfoot?
Nothing. Not really anything. I was just being a kid, you know, and just.
Any interest in Bigfoot previously, or the paranormal or anything?
I always thought ghosts were cool, and then like Loch Ness Monster. But for some reason, for that Bigfoot, you know, the Patterson-Gimlin film, when I saw that, that's just what really stuck with me. I'm like, wow, that's insane to see that.
Just damn, that thing's real.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, because everything else I was watching, like you got ghosts and all that, you don't really see any cool videos. But with Bigfoot, you like saw that, and you're like, man, that thing looks real.
Yeah.
At least it did. And I was like, I want to learn more about this. And so that's kind of when I have, you know, got more involved in wanting to learn more. I guess I got more involved in throwing myself out there learning about the subject. And it wasn't until I moved to California, I can't remember what year it was, 2015, I actually planned a trip to the film site. Couldn't find it. Went up there again, couldn't find it again. And it was third time was a charm. But it was a long journey.
I mean, that's like a lot of people's bucket list, you know?
No, like I think it definitely is. A friend of mine's like, oh, what did he say? Oh, the Patterson-Gimlin film site is like the Vatican to Bigfooters.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
So you're involved with a group that kind of, for lack of better words, are the modern day custodians of the film site, aren't you?
Yeah. The Bluff Creek Project. They are the ones that rediscovered the film site by going down there and just doing their due diligence for the film, because they thought it's important enough and historic enough they should do something about it, because nobody else was doing it. And so Stephen Strayford in Willow Creek, California, got, I think it was Robert Leiderman and Ian Carton. And those were some of the first guys to go down there and, you know, try and find the site, get a good idea where it's at. And you got like Rowdy that came in the picture, Rowdy Kelly, and Jamie Wayne coming in, then like a bunch of other people. And so it was really cool when they found the film site. And then it wasn't until I got up there that I met Robert and Rowdy and Jamie, and that's when I really started going up there and doing more with them. And then I became a member of the Bluff Creek Project, and it kind of went on from there. So it's like it's never been ending. I've just been doing stuff with them, and I try to get up there as much as I can. Like I just drove from Florida a few days ago, and I'm finally here in California, and I'll be headed up there on the 5th. So
wow, that's a drive.
Yeah, really. So like, you know, it's never easy to do a subject you love, and you're always going to have cool stories to tell from it, man. So that's what I like about it.
But the site itself is not easy to get to, is it?
It depends on who you are. I mean, it's not terrible. walking down, you go walk downhill a lot, and then you hike through the creek in some areas. So just be careful not to twist your ankle. It's the hiking back out, I think, is the worst, because you got to hike up that hill you walk down. And it's a pretty long hill and steep in some points. So, I mean, that part sucks. But getting down there is fairly easy. Just, you don't want to twist your ankle. It's just like hiking somewhere over rocks. Be careful,
Yeah.
And, like, you're so far down there, it's not going to be fun for someone to get hurt and have to be carried out. There's not really a road at the creek to come get you and take you to the hospital. So I think if something happens, it's going to be a little more of an ordeal. But,
Hasn't the landscape changed quite a bit over the years?
Oh, yeah. So, like, if you see people who've seen the film, in 64, there was a flood that kind of, wiped that area out and made it all that sandbar that you see in the 67 footage. But, like, what has it been, like 55 years now? Something like that? All that is, like, all the vegetation has regrown since then. And it doesn't look anything like it did back then. But with the help of the Bluff Creek Project, they're kind of clearing out dead foliage and making more of a view shed from different spots. And when you go there, if you look at original photos of the stumps that was in the film and then pictures that Renee DeHinden and Bob Titmus have taken, you can see these original stumps. Like, oh, this is the place. You got the big tree, all the stumps, all the other trees that you can see in the footage. They're all still there.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Seeing some of the, the videos and stuff on YouTube and seeing how some of those old trees and logs and stumps and everything are still there, and you can line them up with the details and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. It's like walking into the past when you go down there, for sure. It's like, and this is, I know I said, like, regardless if the film is fake or not, at this point, I think it still holds a lot of water, regardless. Just because if it's fake, you're like, this is the best done hoax in the world.
Of anything, on any level that we're aware of, at least.
I know, and it's like, for that matter alone, that is pretty awe-inspiring. So to go down to the film site, even if it was the greatest hoax, it's like, man, this is where it happened. Why did they pick this spot of all places if that was the case? It's been scrutinized and scrutinized, like you said, since day one, pretty much. And that's another thing I don't get. It's like, if Bob Hieronymus was like so adamant about being in the film in the costume, where's the costume at?
Yeah.
Did Roger keep it? I mean, that's possible if it was faked. But
I mean, that's Roger, the smoking gun, and I would think that if somebody could produce it, that is what's worth the money. Yeah,
that would be your answer right there. Easily. What? And it's funny, in that documentary we were talking about earlier, it just came out. It wasn't really about Sasquatch, but I had a theme for it.
Right.
Bob Hieronymus was in that, and I think that was the first time I saw him in anything. He was holding the head of, like, the mask that he claimed was in the film. Like, it didn't look like it.
It didn't look anything like it. Nothing at all.
It looked way too big, and his head was, like, really tiny. I'm like, there was no way.
And whenever he originally came out with the story, I'm pretty certain he said that it was just like a customized old leather football helmet that he was wearing.
Something like that.
And now it's this big headpiece,
I don't get it. Yeah, it's weird. And, like, if you have that, where's the rest of the costume?
Yeah.
I mean,
show us the boobs. We want to see the boobs.
Yep. Who doesn't?
Has anyone found any evidence of Bigfoot activity around the film site?
I haven't seen any, but I've had things happen in Louse Camp and Onion Lake before a couple times. But as far as finding any tracks, any broken, like, trees, no, not me personally.
What have you experienced?
I've heard some wood knocks, something here around our tent one night. And I have audio of, it's like the worst faint audio ever, but there's definitely something there if you listen hard enough. There was a whoop, a howl, and a wood knock. Then I heard another wood knock at another place. So I've heard some things out there, but nothing too definitive where I can say that's for sure Bigfoot. But it was weird because there was nobody else out there except for us. So it just makes you wonder, like, it's either a person messing with us or something with hands doing that.
Right.
Can't be a bear or deer. So I lean more towards it being Bigfoots than anything up there, the stuff I experienced, but I can't 100% say for sure.
I assume that you've talked to your colleagues about it, and what do they say about it? Like, I mean, wood knocks for me are something that's just kind of crazy because who's out there in the middle of the night doing that stuff?
Well, okay, so the first time I heard a wood knock up there was with a couple other friends from the Bluff Creek Project, and then it was 4 of us, so we split up. Then we heard the knock, and then we heard something walking in the meadow. And I was like, dude, that was totally a knock. But one member was like, no, I don't think it was. Maybe it was probably a pine cone that when you did the knock, the sound shook it loose and it fell on a dead tree. I mean, I'm willing to buy into that, but I find it hard to believe too at the same time.
That's a really heavy pine cone.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they have large pine cones up there compared to here. But come on, man. Whenever I hear a knock, and I haven't heard very many, but whenever I've heard them, I mean, it sounds like somebody hitting a home run with a baseball bat.
No, that's the other place. I was up there and I did a knocking immediately right after I heard one. I was like, that's not an echo because it happened right after. And then on the Go Road, believe it or not, going up to the film site area, we were parked at night. It was snowing. It was actually raining a little bit, and we did a knock, and we heard one off the road up in the forest. So I've heard 3 knocks up there. Really interesting stuff. I don't know if they were all pine cones. I don't think so. Maybe people, but still, how would they know where we were going to be at that time?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
You're originally from Iowa?
Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri, and then I lived in Iowa from 2000 to 2011.
Since you've been interested in Bigfoot, have you gone back and checked out Bigfoot history where you're growing up?
Not really. I mean, yeah, when I moved back there, I did, but there's not that much of a history, especially where I'm from, Des Moines. I'm from Kansas City, so there's not much woods around Kansas City. It's all flat there. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Des Moines where I was living. It's kind of all flat, not much forests. And so the best place I think in Missouri would be southern Missouri near the Ozarks.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I haven't really delved into the history there. I had some friends that had some sightings up there. That's about it. Now I'm living in Florida, which sucks. So it's like I can do as much research as I can, but I can't really go there and do anything. So
now you're chasing the skunk ape.
Now I'm chasing that, which I haven't even gotten out to do that yet. I actually saved all my money just to come up here this year.
Now you're working on your own film project, aren't you?
You're trying to, yeah. That's working on it right now. Funny, before you were texting. I was like, "Yeah, I'm in LA. I'm just doing some drone footage, some B-roll shots, and so that's a lot of fun."
What's the documentary? What's the gist of it?
Well, the title is "Uncovering the Truth of Sasquatch," but mainly it's going to be about what will it take to really prove these things are real? Do you need a body, or what? And I'm interviewing a handful of people. I'm interviewing the guys from the Bluff Creek Project. I've already interviewed Cliff and Connor at the North American Bigfoot Center. I have plans to interview Bobo and then Daniel Perez, Kaiweta Roth, and up in San Francisco. So, it's I'm gonna have a lot of cool people that are gonna be in this film. A couple of things that are gonna be in it. We did a recreation of my thermal video sighting in Southern California. So that's one of the things that's going to be in there. And another thing is I get sleep paralysis a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see if there's a correlation between Bigfoot and sleep paralysis. So I think that's a really cool take on it, something I haven't seen in a documentary yet.
Yeah, that is.
So it's like, well, I should do it. No one's done it yet. Maybe with aliens, but not Bigfoot.
Right. And there's a lot of talk, on infrasound, and I've even seen people mention ultrasound going the other direction with it. But I do know some people that have experienced some things while out camping and researching Bigfoot, but they have some interesting stories.
Yeah, I think sleep paralysis, I've never heard anything like that in a documentary. And that's something I want to touch on, I think. So I was like, yeah, well, let's do it. So it's me only working on this documentary. It's nobody else really. I mean, I have some people helping out here and there, but for the most part, I'm filming everything, editing everything, and it's a lot of work, scheduling everything. So
I can only imagine how much work that is.
Oh, it's a ton of work. And it's scary because it's like, I know what the film should be about. I have interviews set up. I have the interviews, some of them done. But it's like, how do I go about filming it? It's like that's a daunting task. So I think the plan is right now just get as much footage as I can, and then because the film is going to tell a story, but the narration will tell most of the story too. So I'm probably overthinking it like most things. So we'll see.
Have you ever done any film work previous to this?
I've done like a little 15-minute short documentary on kind of how the Bluff Creek Project found the film site.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Leiderman kind of talked about that. And I had my friend Holiday Reinhorn, who's the wife of actor Rainn Wilson. She actually narrated it. And so she did a narration part on it. So that was kind of like my first little thing. It got mentioned in Good Housekeeping magazine online.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what? That's super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a little bit, and then, it taught me a lot of how to go forward about doing this one. So it's like, yeah, I need more footage. I need to have a better script and different topics to talk about. And so I'm kind of doing it like chapters. So Southern California, then Bluff Creek, and then Portland, then Iowa, and then Florida, and then that's it. Oh, and the sleep paralysis. So it sounds like a lot, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
It wasn't that long ago. I actually recently ran across an article from 2004 where people were still debating if Bigfoot existed east of the Rocky Mountain Range. Is there still some of that Pacific Northwest prejudice going on in the Bigfoot world?
Probably. Nobody that I know. Nobody that I know personally. But, I mean, I'm sure it's there, because people are like, oh, this is Pacific Northwest. This is where Bigfoot is born. I'm like, yeah, but look at over on the East Coast. You got the Appalachian Trail, and that place is rich with history.
Yeah.
I mean, Maker recorded the Ohio Howl in Ohio.
Is he still doing Bigfoot stuff?
Yeah. I mean, Finding Bigfoot did that brand new episode.
That special for the Paramount channel, I think, or Discovery Plus or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know what's up with that, but I know he's doing some work and research still.
Have you heard any rumblings in the rumor mill about Finding Bigfoot making a return?
I'm sure I have subconsciously, but I shouldn't say anything if I do know.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything coming from like what I just said. So nobody listening, take that as yes, it's coming back, or no, it's not.
You heard it here first.
I'm going to get texts and calls from everybody like, dude, what the hell?
I had to ask because of the company you keep and, the people you rub elbows with. I've heard rumors, but I haven't heard any specifics, People mention it here and there on Twitter and stuff if you follow them, but
well, I'll say the most that I know is rumors too.
Yeah.
That's the most that I know. I don't know anything beyond that. It would be really cool if they do come back, because I think that was one of the better shows out there.
Well, we were talking about how cool Monster Quest was, but Finding Bigfoot did more to put Bigfoot on the radar than any show ever.
Yeah. And I think that's a good and bad thing. And I think even Cliff and Bobo have said that on their podcast. It was like, it's a good and bad thing that the TV show came along. It's good that I got more people interested in the subject, but it's bad that I got more people interested in the subject, because then you're like overrun with Bigfooters all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Which, selfishly, I would have liked it if there was no show, which would suck for me, but but it is what it is, so I can't complain.
Well, it's kind of like podcasting in the Bigfoot world.
It really is.
There's a lot of Bigfoot podcasts now.
Oh my! I think it's blown up in the past, at least in the few months since COVID, especially.
Yeah. Do you think that's hurting or helping?
I couldn't say. I think it's good that people are learning more about the subject and are interested in it or willing to talk about it. And so there's a whole bunch of information you can learn about the subject. So I think it's good in that aspect. But I think sometimes people have ideas on things, and sometimes they will use that platform to push their idea, force it on you. So I think it's bad in that regard.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, in this field especially, that there's no experts, very little things that could be put into the fact category. And we should really be paying attention to the experiences people are having, the eyewitness sightings, like the actual physical evidence that people find, and actually scrutinizing that evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
And just letting the evidence and the testimony kind of direct the direction we go. But, I know people aren't exactly reliable whenever it comes to testimony in a perfect world, but nope. It's better than just saying, well, I think they do this because I can't come up with a different answer, and now I'm just going to put it out there like it's a fact.
Yeah. It's like, I try to be careful of making things sound like facts. And like, I will die saying my thermal video was definitely a Bigfoot that night. Anything else I've heard, I can't say 100%. So I try to be careful of not being that guy. It's like everything, like, I think I can think of, you and I could probably think of one person in particular that says everything's a Bigfoot and always has great evidence coming out.
I can think of more than one. But
I
yes.
think of one in specifically.
One in specific.
But I can think, yeah, there's definitely a few, but this one's like probably the famous one of them all.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that guy can do it, so can I. No, I'm just kidding. I try not to be that guy who's like, yeah, it's definitely that, it's definitely this, because I know some people are like that. I'm like, dude, shut up. You're annoying me almost to the point I don't want to believe in the subject anymore.
Yeah, it can get difficult.
It really is like tiring. It's like, but at the same time, it makes me happy that I know I'm clear and level-headed about the subject too. At least I'm not that crazy.
Yet.
Yet. Oh, Lord. I hope not. But, with a last name like Hieronymus, you never know.
You never know. But, there's still a chance that you'll turn the namesake around and make it a positive.
I'll be the first Hieronymus in the Bigfoot world to be, like, genuine about it and not fake.
So let's talk about your thermal sighting.
Yes.
How, what, when, where? What are the deets on that?
So the location is disclosed for now until the film comes out. But I will say it was in Southern California, just outside of LA a few hours, kind of in between Bakersfield and LA. It's somewhere in that range. I was actually with Moneymaker that day and a few other people who had experiences in that area. And then at the end of the day, I took Matt up to show him the photo that I tweeted where I found a track the previous year. And at the end of the day, we were like, hey, so where do we go? He's like, just take this road all the way back to the spot. And so we did. And then me and my friend were just hanging out there drinking beers and just waiting until it got later. And then we went down. It was like, hey, let's go walk down this trail and do some knocks. So we went down, did some knocks, sound did not travel. So I did a whoop. Then a few seconds go by. We're kind of talking to each other. And I hear something on the edge of my hearing. It's like, dude, did you hear that? He's like, no. He had like hoodie on and his earmuffs because it was kind of cold that night. So we walked back to this overlook and looking around, and we see eyes shine. And we're just like, is that lights behind it? Like behind the trees down on the mountain? Or what is that? So I put the FLIR up. And for those who have never used a FLIR, and it's your first time, it's kind of tricky to know what to look for and how to use it. So that was where I was at. So I didn't know what I was seeing. So actually I was changing the filters in the video that if you see it. And then I put the FLIR down to see if it was still there. And it was. Then I bring it back up, and then my friend the whole time was looking at it with the flashlight he had on, and so I was kind of trusting on him. And so a few seconds later, after I bring the FLIR up, he's like, "Dude, it's gone." That's when we walked back to the truck. I was actually still recording, and when we got back to the truck, I stopped the recording. I was like freaking out and excited and scared at the same time. It was like the weirdest adrenaline rush ever. It's like having a Red Bull vodka. You don't know whether to be down or up, but you feel something weird.
I know I've drank 6 of these.
That's just exactly what it was. It's so funny. But what was funny before that happened is like, I was getting paranoid. Like, dude, this is freaking me out a little bit. And he's like, no, you're just paranoid. And then like, after it happened, it was like, hey, we should go down there and camp over there. He's like, I wouldn't mind a change of scenery. It actually freaked him out so bad. But what I find compelling is he's actually a skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask him, he'll be like, I don't know what I saw, but I can't explain it either.
What color was the eye shine?
Yellowish, orangish. That was the color, and they were kind of big. Originally we thought it was 50 feet away, and then we went back the next day and it was like, no, it was 300 feet. Wow. But that's how big it was. We were like, dude, this is like 50 feet away. But yeah, it was a lot further than we thought. So we went down up to this spot last week, tried to do a recreation. What was bad is some of the trees in the video actually fell down, so it was blocking our view shed to do a proper thermal recreation, which really sucked. Which I'll explain that more in the film. Like, if I had a chainsaw, we could have cut some of the trees or like the limbs off and give us that clear view shed. But unfortunately, Bigfoot doesn't make it easy on you ever. So
usually not. That's been my experience.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get up there like, yeah, we can do it. It's going to look great and everything. Nope.
So how much did you capture on thermal?
You could definitely see like the head or whatever this thing was like kneeling down. And then at the end, you see something stand up vertically. And it's not the most damning evidence. Mm-hmm. I mean, to my knowledge, you got Bart Catino's FLIR footage in the Sierras in California. I would think mine would be the second best FLIR footage next to Bart's. That might be saying a lot, but I don't know. Might be too bold of a statement.
Well, I mean, it is your footage, so of course. I mean, But that's the case with a lot of evidence. It's hard to just take a piece of something that you recorded and present it to the world and try to explain to them, well, yeah, but we were standing there and we could see it. And, you know, the experience itself adds a tremendous amount to it.
Oh, yeah. No, it really does. And it's like, I really wanted to show the terrain and what the area looked like, because I could take pictures from the ground and be like, yeah, but what does it look like over there and that way?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll take some drone footage of the damn area. So that's what I did. Like, you can see it's a really sharp, not really sharp, but like really steep on each side of the mountain. Nobody could have snuck in, and it's steep enough. It's not bear behavior. Human eyes don't reflect in the dark with flashlights on them.
Yeah.
It was not bear behavior. It was not deer behavior. It was not mountain lion behavior. Because this thing saw us before we saw it. And I heard a response call. I mean, it doesn't make sense that it could be a bear or mountain lion doing that. But it was the weirdest thing. And got something on footage. And I was still like, kind of can't believe I got whatever that was on film. I'm like still kind of jazzed about it to this day.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and like Kip Moore was like saying, he's like, yeah, if I ever got footage, I would never go to Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. It's like, yeah, so I've been sitting on this footage for like a few years. I think I got it in 2017. I was like, yeah, if I release it on YouTube, people will be like, oh, it's fake or whatever. Or the same thing on Facebook, and it's going to be, you know, scrutinized by people in the Facebook Bigfoot community.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'd just rather do a film, talk about what happened with the guy that was there with me, got an interview with him and me, did a recreation so you kind of knew what we were doing, and you'll see the ridge and what the area looks like. So I was like, that's probably the best approach to do it, just to release it by itself. So that's my plan.
Even if you're talking about what happens when you release evidence into the social media world, which in my opinion has ruined a lot of pieces of good evidence and prevented a lot of good evidence from seeing the light of day. But it's really a double-edged sword, because you can have a piece of evidence that's also ruined because the wrong person verifies it.
Yep.
And that will just turn a whole group of people against it instantly.
Yeah, that's so true. It's very true. Like, no, I totally get what you mean.
Do you think there's ever going to be a way for people to kind of come together to properly peer review evidence?
I mean, in a perfect world, maybe, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
It's not going to happen on Facebook.
No, it's not a chance in hell, man. No, there's no way that's happening there. I don't even think on YouTube that would happen.
Yeah.
Maybe the BFRO is probably the best place, and that's not saying much, but still, I'd almost trust the footage, those videos that come from there than YouTube and Facebook any day of the week.
But you kind of want people outside of the Bigfoot world to look at this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
And unfortunately, those people look at the Bigfoot world before they look at the evidence, and they don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, those people outside the Bigfoot world are like, oh, these are hillbilly gun-smoking pot smokers.
Pot shooting, gun smoking.
Pot shooting, cornholing, beer drinker. Whatever, anything you can put together to make a funny word. I think that's what people think of people in this community a lot of the time.
You mentioned having your skeptical friend with you.
Yeah.
How do your family and friends look at you over this Bigfoot stuff?
They feel I'm weird, which rightfully so.
I mean, were you weird before the Bigfoot stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I just think the Bigfoot thing allowed me to exploit my weirdness.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm going to the woods, Dad. I'll see you later.
Are they supportive or do they criticize?
they're supportive. My mom's skeptic. My dad has actually gone with me to Bluff Creek a few times. Actually, my mom went there too. And then, yeah, it's funny. I drag all my friends along because they're like, yeah, I'll go. It seems like fun. They may not necessarily believe it, but until something happens,
Yeah.
you know. But I haven't really had much ridicule like some people I know. Like, I have friends that get teased a lot for it. And like, yeah, here's what you do. You just take a beer, drink. You're like, I don't care what you think. I'm going to go do it. You got to own up. I think you got to own it.
Right.
And then people won't make fun of you.
I was always just like, I'm going to go look for Bigfoot, and I would like you to come camping and hiking with me while I do it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I'm usually a little nice. I'm not saying you're not nice. I'm saying I think I'm too nice in the sense I'm like, dude, like, okay, here's an example. I would drive from Northern California, Ventura to Bluff Creek. That's like what, 12-hour drive, 10-hour drive? Like, dude, if you come with me, all the gas is already paid for. It's a free drive, and I got tons of beer. Let's go.
So who would you say has been like, do you have a mentor, or do you have somebody that's been more influential on your Bigfoot journey than someone else?
The Bluff Creek Project guys for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're one of the better groups I could have fallen into, personally. And then you got like the Olympic Project that are pretty cool. But Robert Leiderman in the Bluff Creek Project has been a cool guy and helped me around a lot. And so is Rowdy Kelly. So those two guys, I don't know, honestly, the whole Bluff Creek Project, they really helped me out. And then Cliff and Bobo actually helped me out a lot. Cliff, like, the second time I met him, he hooked me up, and basically it was like it's his version of the BFRO, and he got me signed up so I can go do investigations for him when he's too busy. It's like, yeah, I'll do it.
That's cool.
And Bobo's been pretty cool and supportive, and then even Matt has been pretty supportive too. And I got hooked up with the BFRO, and then I helped him set up a BFRO expedition. So yeah, like those guys have been pretty chill and helpful. And outside of family, it's just most family and friends have been pretty cool and supportive of it. Like, yeah, it might be weird, but whatever, it's what he likes. So it's whatever he likes, man.
Is there anybody in the Bigfoot world that you want to go out with that you haven't been with?
Bob Gimlin.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to the film site with Bob, so that's just super cool. But to like go into the field, definitely Bob Gimlin. I mean, if I had to pick people past tense, Renee DeHenden would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now, oh god, that's a tough list.
What was it like going to the film site with Bob Gimlin? Like, how did he react to being back there and everything?
I think he enjoys it every time. I can't believe he made that hike. He's like, what, 80 something? He's making that hike, and
yeah, cowboy.
Yeah, making all of us experienced hikers look like fools. It's really funny, but no, he got excited. This was super cool. So I found out that Bob Gimlin was going to the film site, and I was kind of working on that other documentary, that 15 minute for the guys. And they're like, I found out, yeah, Bob Gimlin's coming to the film site. I was like, oh, I got to go interview him. And so this is something that even Daniel Perez has commented on the Bigfoot Times. When I got that interview with Bob Gimlin, I didn't want him to stand in the creek because it didn't look anything like the film site. So I had him stand in front of the big tree that you see in frame 352 of the original film. And I got him to tell me the story of what happened that day. So it's a 6-minute interview of Bob Gimlin in front of the film, or the big tree in the film site.
Wow.
You can clearly see in frame 352. And to what Daniel Perez said, he said that's the only interview of Bob Gimlin at the film site ever. I mean, Finding Bigfoot did it when they went there, but it didn't look like the film site, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that interview is actually not public. The only place I gave Cliff the full interview to play at his museum, and for that reason I thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
So, but going to the film site with him was really surreal, and like, man, I can't believe I'm here with him. It was pretty fun.
Has it sunk in what you actually accomplished by doing that? I mean,
no, I'm probably the most oblivious person when it comes to realizing that the gravity of that. So I don't really know. I think it's just cool.
I mean, there's people who, I don't even know if they could put a dollar amount on that trip.
No, I don't know. It's super. Yeah, I don't know the gravity of it really. I just know it was a really cool opportunity. I got to do it. Bob's super nice. Yeah, he was happy to do it, and got some photos with him down there. Super surreal.
So what's next for the Bluff Creek project?
I think this trip they're going to be doing some film recreation. So we have a good idea of what was it? We know what the camera Roger is using, but we're trying to figure out the lens. We were trying to figure out the lens.
Yeah.
We got the lens right. So we're going to do a recreation, and with Kit Morrow, I think, filling in as Patty to see if he lines up with the height of Patty. So that's kind of what we're figuring out now. So that's pretty exciting.
And how tall is Kip?
Kip's like 6'2", I think. He's tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not a short guy. But Patty's around 6'3", 6'7",
yeah.
I think.
I know that was debated for a long time. But in my opinion, the most accurate measurements are just a little bit over 6 foot. Closer to 6 foot than 7 foot for sure.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Are they still doing the camera trap work around the film site with all the game cams and stuff?
Yeah, they're still doing all that down there. They got a bunch of cameras, and they service them every summer and springtime before winter. So they get out there quite a bit. They go up there and change the batteries and SD cards and making sure those are still running.
Weren't they able to capture footage or images of, I believe it was the Humboldt Martin?
Yeah, the Humboldt Martin. They got footage of that, and they were able to, I think, because of it, they made it where it was listed as an endangered species there.
I mean, that should kind of help things out with the film site, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it definitely does. So you shouldn't have people going down there and logging it, unless a forest fire comes down there and destroys it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you should really worry about, which is scary because it seems like every year fires get really close to that area. It's like, oh man, one of these days a fire is just going to engulf it.
Just wipe it all out.
I mean, at the same time, yeah, that sucks really bad and won't look pretty. But it should look something more like it did back in 67. So that's kind of a cool, cruel way to think about it. Yeah, so it's like, I always thought, I don't think cool is the right word. I'm not even going to say cool. It would be weird if the film site caught on fire. But at the same time, I think in a way that would almost give us a lot of answers too. We can see what it looked like back then.
Yeah.
In a very desolate kind of haunting way, it would look the same.
And then in another 50 years or so, it would look almost identical.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. But yeah, the creek's been eroded out there, so where Roger was standing is like gone. So when you go up on the sandbar where the trees and stumps are, that's the original height of the sandbar. But like where Roger was standing, it's kind of all washed out over the years and stuff like that. So I think when you're in the creek, it's about 4 feet it's about 3 feet. If you're staying in the creek, it's 3 feet from the bottom of the creek to the top of the sandbar where it was originally at. So
it's just amazing to me that people have been able to figure all that out.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have done it.
There's a lot of really smart people involved in this, though.
You know what's crazy is, like, I don't feel like we were talking about somebody that I don't feel like they got their proper dues as much as they should. And to be perfectly honest, I don't feel like Bluff Creek Project has gotten the publicity like they should. I'm not saying the guys in the Limit Project are hogging all the fame because they're all really cool dudes. You got Shane and Gunner and all those guys, and they're doing some amazing stuff. But I think they're like the forefront of the Bigfoot projects in the world. And you got like the NAWC, what is it? And
North American Wood Ape Conservancy.
You got those guys, and I think at the last you got Bluff Creek Project, which I find weird because you think somebody associated that close with the famous Patterson-Gimlin film, and rediscovering the film site would be catapulted to the top almost.
Yeah. But there was several years back where somebody, I don't remember who it was, but someone said that they had found the Ape Canyon site.
Oh, Mark Massell.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to get a bunch of attention. That really it didn't.
No, yeah, it was like, I thought that was going to blow up huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wait, I didn't really hear about Mark Massell. I don't think I've heard the name in passing, but I didn't hear about him until like Boba started interviewing him and some other friends started interviewing him. I'm like, dude, this guy's, it's like, and he did it all on his own, which I find very impressive.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because there was, no information about Ape Canyon, really.
No, not a lick of information out there.
I mean, that was just, combing the woods one leaf at a time.
I don't know how he did that. That's incredible. Yeah, I don't think people realize the extensive work that it goes into looking for these areas. So maybe that could be why things just don't get, more popularized than they should. Who knows?
Well, you're not looking for Bigfoot. You're not going to, produce a Bigfoot video for everybody to look at.
It's like nobody cares what the place is. Everybody just wants videos of them.
Right.
I guess that's true, yeah.
I mean, I understand that. But I think it's extremely important, especially if someone's a believer and thinks that this is going to be proven someday. Then how important is it, the work that's being done by the Bluff Creek Project?
Oh, yeah, it's very important.
And quite frankly, if the Bluff Creek Project hadn't done it, who would have?
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Gimlin would have probably never been back to the site.
Nope.
Or at least not the right one.
Exactly. I mean, other people that had ideas of where it was at, but obviously they didn't. I don't think they really did anything about it as much.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's been, a little over 50 years. It was captured on film. It was investigated by numerous people, documented, and it still just vanished into nature in that short period of time. And it just goes to show you how easily, nature will consume itself.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. It took no time for those trees to grow up to the size they did now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So what's your take on the reports of possible paranormal attributes with Bigfoot? Are you a flesh and blood guy or?
Yeah, I'm a flesh and blood guy. So, I mean, to me, I'm not into the whole paranormal aspect of the thing. Because just from my personal experiences, haven't been anything weird like paranormal. So it's really mostly been flesh and blood for me. And that's kind of where I lie on the fence. But I'm not saying those people who report seeing orbs and stuff with Bigfoot or anything like that are crazy, because, there's some crazy stuff that happens, and to call somebody a liar for that is, I think, immature on my part before you have all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as me, I just believe it's more flesh and blood.
So if there is a connection between Bigfoot and sleep paralysis, what do you think it would be?
Just common as misidentification for sleep paralysis. Because, and sleep paralysis is a natural phenomenon, and there's nothing supernatural about it. Even if people are seeing things, it's usually common because I get it and I hallucinate when I have it. And so I feel like the circumstances for sleep paralysis to happen are as follows. Their lack of sleep, irregular sleep, alcohol, sugar, stress, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people in the field generally have that when they're researching Bigfoot because they're up all late, different hours of the nights, getting to bed different times. And yeah, if you're with friends, sometimes you're drinking beers, having a good time, just talking, and you're eating food and maybe having soda if you do that too. So it's like, and it's actually kind of stressful. So let's think all those ingredients are what causes sleep paralysis, and sleeping on your back is the other trigger. So I can't help but think, what if that was the right, mixture of things to happen, and you're in the field, and you get sleep paralysis, and you're hallucinating. You're like, dude, there was a Bigfoot outside my tent. I swear, it's right there. I couldn't move anything, so it was probably like paranormal, like a ghost holding me down, and there's a Bigfoot right there. Or it could be as simple as being sleep paralysis, and that's what happened. Nothing was really there.
I think that's a really interesting theory. There was a situation where I was on an outing where my tent had been damaged and I had to use somebody else's tent. And this tent had I don't know what you call it. The screen mesh was on all sides of the tent. So it was pretty much wide open. Mm-hmm. And just being honest, that bothered me. I didn't like the idea of it just being wide open like that.
Yeah, me neither.
And sleep paralysis is something I have experienced in my life, just at my own home, in the comfort of my own bed. And at the time, I remember I woke up. It was just before dawn. It was starting to turn light, enough for me to see things anyways. And I swear I saw a Bigfoot standing just a few feet away from the tent. And as soon as I looked at it, it just ran out of the campsite. And then I just pretty much went back to sleep. I didn't jump up or anything. I don't remember it being necessarily sleep paralysis, but now that you're talking about it, I think maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it very well could be. And I'm not saying, I don't know if you've ever heard anybody really talk about the connection like that in the way I did, but as far as I know, I haven't. And so I think this should be something to look into as possible misidentification on reports. Because, it could happen. If I'm thinking about it, it probably happened. Mm-hmm. It's a big world, a lot of people. So a lot of forest out there with weird things going on, weird things that can be misconstrued as common occurrences, natural occurrences. And you also think about people who say they used sleep paralysis to communicate to the other side back then, or forms of a lucid dreaming, which doesn't, I can see why they would think that. And that's the reason I think maybe there's a connection there, but it's more natural than anything else, not spiritual or
right. Interesting stuff, man.
So that's kind of that's what I really want to touch on in the film and kind of get that point across. Yeah, it could be, but in my opinion, it's probably just misidentification for a natural phenomenon such as sleep paralysis.
So where can people find you?
They can follow me on the Bluff Creek Project podcast because I run the podcast for the Bluff Creek Project. I get co-hosts with Robert and Kip sometimes. So Bluff Creek Project podcast on Instagram and YouTube. And there's an email you can email me at or whoever and get in touch with us that way, or me for that matter. So that's the best way. Or Facebook, just Tate Hieronymus.
You're easy to find.
Pretty easy. Fairly easy to get a hold of too, unless I'm like sleeping or in a place with no service.
Just remember Tate, not Bob.
Tate, not Bob, Hieronymus.
And if people want to help out with your film project, how can they do that?
I have a GoFundMe, Tate Hieronymus, Uncovering the Truth of Sasquatch. They can donate to that. That just helps for gas and batteries. it already came in handy because people donated $300, and I was able to buy a external battery, and that really saved me money on getting AA's and AAA's for cameras and stuff and charging all this stuff. So that really helped. And it saved on gas, so I don't have to run my car charging camera stuff either. So anything's appreciated. And for anybody who donates, I'll be doing like a Zoom video chat later, probably September, so people can see some of the work that I've already done and what their money's gone towards. Hopefully they like it, and if they don't, oh, my bad.
Sorry.
Sorry. I did my best. It's funny, they have way too much faith in me than I have in myself, so I guess it's a good thing.
I guess so. I mean, always set the bar high.
I like to doubt myself. That way I surprise myself when I do really good. It's funny how that works.
Do you have a timetable for the film? I know it's dangerous putting one out there, but
I'm just going to play it safe and just say maybe the end of the year, beginning of 2022.
Okay.
It could be sooner. It could be later. It's something I don't really want to rush because I want to make sure it's right and I get it right and like not all thrown together, which that's important to me. I think that's important to people watching it so they get a clear idea of, it's not going to be boring to them or all over the place. So that's kind of why I'm kind of waiting for a little longer time period.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat it up with me. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been fun. I got to get some more soda later on today, but I'm out of soda.
Tate Hieronymus and the Bluff Creek Project. Check them out. Show them some love.
Show me love.
Check out their podcast. And as always, thanks for listening.